Gabbers, it's Bree, and today I've decided to mix it up a bit and do another silly commentary video since it's been a while since my last one. Specifically 2 months. So I decided to try something fun. This channel isn't new to style studies. I made a video somewhat similar where I drew in 6 different styles, but today I decided to dive deeper into a style that has interested me quite a bit. But first, my super thank yous. Remember, if you aren't here to be my next one, and if names are pronounced wrong, I apologize. Ray Trey, Sprinkle and Uni Flovesies, Five Nights At Again, Kazuna Endy, and Cupcake Enjoys Object Shows. The Arcane art style. A style that is truly unique in such a beautiful way. I've admired the style a lot, and I've always thought about trying it, and never really did until today. I decided to draw myself in the Arcane style, and not my Sona, but me in real life. I don't draw much of self-portraits of what I actually look like outside of my Sona, like a more realistic version of me. So I thought that doing that today would be fun. And I decided to use this photo as a reference. Obviously, half my face is shown on screen, but I'm using my full face as reference. And I plan to make it a video, which, lucky me, because if you came across a now unavailable community post, I had to scrap a video, and I was pretty much done with editing, and I was a little bit worried because I had nothing else planned, or so I thought. And then I remembered this recording that I took. But thank goodness I had a backup, aka this. So I hope you all enjoy this, and I definitely put a lot of time into it. This can also be a study guide, since I do go into depth about my process, so if this happens to help anyone, that's great. So before I begin drawing, what I do with every style study, I look through many images, saving some that I might find useful, just to get a look at the style and the coloring choices. I took notice of how the line art and rendering works, as well as the proportions. I looked at the similar eye highlights, the highlights of the nose, by the eyes, the highlight lines on the lips and chin, the shading by the chin and cheeks, and the eyes. The faces have slight line art, the way the lips look, how the hair is shaded, the sharp edges, and more. Once I figured all that out, I got into IBIS Paint and began my sketch. I took that photo of me for reference and began sketching my proportions while keeping the style at the same time, and I used Maddie, Jinx, Catalan, and V for reference. I took the first sketch, but then the face looked too compressed, so I lowered the opacity and created a new sketch but adjusted it. I adjusted the face a bit more after the second sketch, and it was actually a fairly easy process since I just love staring at the visuals of Arcane when I rewatch it, like specifically to pick apart the details, which makes it so much easier to do the study. I then began the rendering, starting with the hoodie. I definitely feel like I could have done better with the clothes, and I wish I focused more on that too, but after doing part of the hoodie I moved on to the hair, which is kind of detailed, but not fully. Looking at the style, there's a lot of lifeless space, but towards the ends of the hair, and especially on the bangs, there's a bit more of line work to it that gives it a bit more realism. I also accidentally made the hair a bit more blue than intended, because in a lot of styles, mainly animation, blue is used to substitute black hair, as it's easier to work with. That's why characters like Marinette Dupen Chang have blue hair when in actuality it's meant to be black. And I honestly thought it would make the black hair easier, but I made it way too blue. So now my hair looked like cotton candy. I did fix it off a recording as well as making the eyes a bit darker since, as you'll see later, I made them a bit too light, when in reality it looks a lot more darker. Some even say my eyes look black in some cases. So the colors were a wee bit off. I tried color picking on the characters I referenced off of, and began to render the face. I started with the eyes like I usually do in drawing, and worked on the eye shape, which is a clear line for the lashes on top, and then smaller lashes on the bottom. I then began the pupils, and the highlights on the eyes were a bit blocky. I used V's eyes for reference, and after that I began the skin. Some areas had bits of line art like the face outline, the eyes, the nose, and the chin, and I mainly worked from left to right, trying to replicate those eye highlights, and the cheek and chin shading. The eyes were definitely my favorite to work with, but hey, they always are, so... After rendering the skin fully, I began to work on the line art bits that were the facial outline, the nose, the eye creases, and the chin. I then got to the lips, which took a bit of shaping since they looked a bit odd with the wrinkles, but I eventually just softened them up a bit more. In the style, the upper lips seem to be a bit more connected, them being a solid shape on top, while on the bottom it fades into the skin a bit more, if that makes sense. I then started finishing the highlights on the lips, a bit above the lips, the nose, the side of the face, and the eyes, since it seems like there's always this highlight line in those areas. After that, I began to fix the facial proportions again, because they just simply weren't pleasing me. I mean, it kinda looks like me, but it always felt off for some reason, so I decided to play around with the little shaping tool they have. I forgot what that's called. I just felt like the face was a bit too small and round compared to my own, which mine is sorta round, but not to that extent I don't think. I also fixed the size of my nose and lips, and after that worked on some extra shading in the eyes and cheeks, as well as giving me my freckles. Now I do have glasses, but I decided not to include them because I just hate drawing glasses. Especially my glasses. I get called Harry Potter all the time, no joke. I just hate them, bro. I am so glad I'm getting new ones. I finished the rest of the hair and clothes, and fixed the clothes a bit since they seemed a bit inaccurate to the style. I just added those line highlights on the clothes like I did the face. I also forgot my septum, which I always end up doing for some reason, even on my Sona. Actually, I'm pretty sure the thumbnail doesn't even have my septum. I then put a bunch of effects on everything. Also, for those wondering on how I get that quote-unquote blurry glow, here it is. Now, I usually merge all my layers as I go on, which, yes, I know, I'm a monster. And it would also suck if someone asked me to show my layers to prove the piece is mine. But what I do is have all my layers merged, which if you hate doing that, just duplicate them all and then merge them together. But I do that, then create a duplicated layer of my work, slightly blur it, then lower that layer opacity until it looks right. Then, ta-da! Was that useful? I don't know, I suck at explaining things, this is why I can't do tutorials. Anyway, I also changed up the coloring a bit, and added a glitch effect. I then duplicated the layer for a second version of the drawing to sort of resemble the filter in the reference, but I ended up going for a look that was similar to the Evanescence album cover. Did I succeed? And also, did I pronounce that right? I always say it wrong. Anyway, here's the finished works. You can also find them on my community tab if you're interested, but that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting your thoughts, sharing the video, and subscribe. I just reached 116,000 subscribers, and my next goal is 120,000. Thank you all so much for the support, and I'm glad you all find my content enjoyable. This is a nice change of pace from what I usually cover, and if you've been here for a while watching along, you know I like to do this every once in a while, just to take that break and let loose. I mean, I enjoy all the content I make, but videos like these are even more enjoyable since it's just carefree and just drawing. I kind of just come up with everything on the spot instead of having days of planning my scripts. So if you like this type of content, again, make sure to like so I know to make more. But yeah, here are the brush codes I used today, and you should definitely try and study the style too. It is so much fun. Remember to love your art, love others, and love yourselves. Bye!